Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And we'll take a look to see if FX appears to be a little bit higher this morning. Not of any real significant change, but that dip below 17, they've found some bids in euro and a little bit steadier here in cable. Also, we did come into some key support on Friday. Actually, it would have been on Thursday. Actually, on Friday, it was on Friday. And we'll push it up a little bit. We'll get into that. Dollar yen has been really, I don't know if you call it flat or steady, but we haven't moved in very much of a range here. See here, other than this one dip, we stayed pretty tight. And cash dollar index is just a tad bit weaker. As far as news today, on the economic calendar, we did get French PMI about a little over an hour ago, German PMI, and Eurozone manufacturing PMI, which came at the top of the hour. That came in a tad bit weaker for August at 61.5. The forecast was for 61, so a little bit better. The previous was 61.8. Or actually, that was 60. Previous was 62.8. I'll look at the previous on the German. UK PMI composite manufacturing will be out at the bottom of the hour, along with services. And moving into the States, we do have Chicago Fed activity index. That'll be at 8:30 Eastern. And then we do get manufacturing PMI and market composite PMI, both at 9:45 Eastern, with existing home sales at 10 a.m. And also at 10 a.m. we'll get Eurozone consumer confidence. Forecast is for negative 5.0. Last month it was negative 4.4. Crude has finally found a bottom at here, or at least temporarily a bottom, after actually sliding essentially $9 in a very short amount of time. So it bounced a little bit. Gold still remains stuck in this area, basically a $20 range between $1,780 and $1,800. S&Ps have saw a good rally at the end of the week. We've kind of run out of gas here at 44.55, and Nasdaq also punched to new highs. With that, we'll just go on and get started with the analysis. We're not really seeing very much changes, so the analysis should be fairly quick. Most of these markets continue with summer trading, at least the FX markets, so we should be able to fly through those. One moment. So the euro posted a bearish engulfing bar for the prior week. And you can see this here. We're actually looking on a weekly chart. Immediate support will be 1644, but we are finding some bids as we come and start the week. Followed by 1613. Resistance will be 1756. You can see the 1756 there. I'm moving into a daily for a little bit closer look. Still remains bearish. And for support, we kind of held these lows right in here. And decent little bid. I guess for now we'll keep it simple and just put it at the lows from last week at 1662. We had 1643, unless things get turned around rather quickly. And we'll just move on to cable. Also looking at the weekly chart. Cable posted its lowest close dating back to the beginning of the year. Support is going to be 3608, followed by solid demand at 3539. Resistance will be 3695. So 3608. And 3695. On to the Aussie dollar. Also looking at this weekly chart. Now the Aussie closed the week into a solid demand area of 71.35. You can see that right here. As we battled here at 71.35, came back, and as I mentioned, a solid demand area here. Further support will be 70.74. Resistance will be 72.22. So 71.35 is support. And 72.22 would be resistance. Moving on to dollar yen. Dollar yen spent the prior week in a relatively tight range as opposed to the other majors. Immediate resistance will be 10.22 with support at 9.24. And on to the cash dollar index. As you can see, there's really no big changes. We're still in the summer doldrums for the most part with FX, so we're just able to just fly through this analysis. There just aren't that many changes. Moving on to the cash dollar index. Dollar index maintained traction above 92.83 last week. Resistance will be resistance is at 93.89, matches with a return to a broken trend line on the weekly. Support will be 92.91. So 92.91 here. And as far as the resistance I was indicating here, if you look, this 93.89, you see right here, coincides with this broken trend line. Get rid of these. So this trend line goes way back. We have to pull it up on the monthly to see right there. You can see that right there. So this is where it's tagging. That's 93.89. Put it back to the daily. So it's 93.89 on the upside. and support's going to be 92.91. Moving on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin posted a new rebound high to close the prior week. Resistance to start the week will be 50,676, followed by 51,475. Support will be 49,201. So you can see here, if we look at a 2-hour chart, though, we can find 50,676, which will be our resistance. This thing has really been on fire. This thing hasn't even dipped back, really, just, minor pullback for pause to refresh, and then it jets off again. And as indicated, support's going to be 49,201. Moving on to ES. Okay, S&P futures saw a solid rebound on Friday, rallying above 44.30. Resistance will now be 44.55. You can see where that's coming in right here. We've got this little zone, but they've run out of gas right there at 44.55, and a pretty good solid rebound here with support at 44.34. That looks like something like around 70, actually probably maybe more than 78%. Yeah, it was just a tad bit above 78%. We're going to move into the Nasdaq. Nasdaq back and pressing up against these highs. You can see right where they ran into trouble, right at this purple level, just below the all-time highs. And that resistance comes in right there. 51.48, 15,148, which is a resistance level from back when. And support 15,039. This is going to be a little bit tougher this week, but with Jackson Hole, they're figuring that Powell's going to be dovish like he always is. So I just don't know. There may just not be a whole lot of movement. I mean, we might get a little dip back as, the market got caught on Friday short and they pushed them up, and then they got a little bit of an extreme move, but I'm just not really expecting a whole lot for this week. Maybe we dip back and they spook them a little bit back to this area here, the 15,060, and as I said, down to 15,039. Maybe back down here, and we kind of bounce around. Other than maybe a pullback, and it's a little bit overdone, but certainly I think the market's going to have that bullish bend. So I'm not seeing a whole lot for this week at least on these indices to expect. Could be wrong, but not necessarily seeing a whole lot. And the next one would be gold. So gold is in a holding pattern after rebounding to 1797 while maintaining a $20 range. Resistance will be 1803 followed by 1812. Remember, those were key numbers in the past. Support will be 1774 followed by 1768. But you can see right here, this 1797 will run out of gas. But 1803, we'll go with 1803. And we said 1767 or 1774. So we're keeping a little bit tighter. But we're staying pretty steady. Don't really see a lot of changes, especially going into the last week of August. Just don't see a whole lot. And lastly, with crude oil, you can see what a heck of a drop this was. Just absolutely huge. So crude found support at 61.88, providing a $1.50 rebound. Resistance will be 63.63. We're actually just above that. 63.63. With support at 62.62. You can take a closer look here. On the 2-hour chart, you can see we're just above that 63.63 right in here. And then the next stop is, I think it's 64.12 or 64.10. Right there at 64.10. And maybe we can make it up there. And just below right there comes to the 63.63. Ahead of Jackson Hole, just don't really expect to see a whole lot. Doesn't mean we can't move intraday. To me, I think the only market that's going to be interesting is going to be crude. I think gold's probably going to be dead in the water itself. Yeah, unless there's a quick surprise move. There might be with gold, but the only market of any real interest is really going to be crude oil. It is pretty oversold, so maybe they stretch it up a little bit here towards the $64. Looks like if you look on here on a, really don't like to look on a frame that short from the 30-minute. Right there, $64. Trying to see if there's anything on the profile. I like to keep this. This isn't linked to the account. This is a link to the data that I get. Bear with me a moment. And they've got the best data. Rhythmic. But it's good to keep because you can see if you, but like I said, I'm not expecting anything right now. But real good source. Let's see here. That's RTH. We got to pull in today's. There we go. interesting that it doesn't show. I'm not sure why. I'll put this on here. So let's see what it made me want to reconnect. That's probably it. So I have to log back into this. So it happens on a Sunday, so probably isn't updated. So I have to go in. That's why you're not showing anything here. Oh well. But as I said, it's 63, $64. We'll move it back to the other one. Hold on. And I actually just logged in right before the webinar started. Hold on. That would make sense. We're not seeing any feed there. Hang on. But you can see here that we're pressing up against that $64. I guess we should update this right now because it is 64. So we'll put it at $64. I mean, this market is so oversold, doesn't mean that we couldn't take off. But to me, I think this is going to be the only interesting market. And it's extremely oversold. But that'll be it. We'll go and get this posted in the room. And we'll catch you later on in the chat room. Be in there much later. Like I said, it's pretty dead trading here in August. We'll see you then. And thanks for joining us here in the European Crossover webinar.